I was shocked. I mean, the interviewers were literally handing her the talking points as she was going through it, because we know she's not going to apologize. She's not going to say anything different. She's exactly the same where she was all throughout this process. But the way they were like trying to give her excuses and instead of just asking questions, they were giving her the talking points.
I
think people want an apology. I think people want for you to acknowledge the things that happened on stage. I hope that you give that to them.
I agree with you. I think that they do want an apology, and I am sorry.
Listen, this whole situation is getting messy fast. Trisha Paytas is straight up calling out Colleen Ballinger, and the way she's doing it has everyone talking. Trisha and Moses recently filmed an episode of Just Trish, and they didn't hold back at all. They went in on how Colleen tried to make her past drama sound smaller than it actually was, and they weren't letting anything slide.
He was a minor, a child, not a young man, a child. And it's like, okay, you're trying to not have that come up again, so just don't talk about it. Because the more times you just say it's a lie, or I think she was like trying to insinuate again that that he wanted it or whatever. It's like.
So here's what went down. Last week, Raven and her wife Miranda dropped a new episode of their podcast titled Exclusive Colleen Ballinger Tells Her Side. The original title was Colleen's Actual Apology, but they switched it up later because the comments were calling out the fact that Colleen only apologized after Raven basically told her she should. That alone had people raising eyebrows.
We're not talking enough about how absolutely insane it was that Raven-Symoné had Colleen Ballinger on her podcast. To be someone who is a former child star, literally comes from an industry that is well known for the same predatory behavior that Colleen Ballinger was canceled for, and you're going to platform someone who was repeatedly accused of grooming and predatory behavior. Not just one time, okay? Multiple times. The group chat situation, which if y'all need a refresher on the Colleen Ballinger lore, that is a separate video.
Right at the start of the episode, Raven and Miranda explained it was their first time ever meeting Colleen, and they felt like enough time had passed for her to sit down and talk about everything. The energy was already intense from the moment they hit record. They said they wanted Colleen to finally reflect and have a real human conversation away from all the headlines. But the second that episode went live, things blew up fast. The backlash came in instantly, and people were seriously upset that Colleen was being given another platform, especially with how the whole conversation played out. Colleen tried to say her Miranda Sings character was never meant for kids, and that had people confused right away. If she already knew younger viewers were watching and still didn't switch up her content, that made everything sound even more questionable. Then she started talking about how she didn't realize there was a power dynamic between her and her fans, and it came off like another round of the same "I just didn't know better" line she kept repeating through the whole episode. She admitted that certain things were wrong, but she kept insisting her intentions were never as serious as people are saying. It sounded like she wanted to acknowledge the situation without fully owning the impact, which made listeners side-eye the whole thing. And of course, she brought up that ukulele video. Yes, the one that definitely was not an apology. Instead of being accountable, she was strumming that ukulele with so much frustration, acting like she didn't want to face any of the things people were calling her out for. The whole moment still has people shocked all over again. She admitted she never should have posted that ukulele video. But what really gets people talking is the fact that it's still sitting on her channel. If she truly regretted it, most folks feel like she would have taken it down already. Some people argue that removing it would make it look like she's trying to hide something, but honestly, she could delete it and drop a new video saying, "I never should have posted that," and people would understand instantly. They might even ask why she waited so long to do it in the first place. But moving on, they questioned her about other situations too, including her friendship with JoJo Siwa. People have been side-eyeing that connection for years because of the big age gap during the time JoJo was rising in the entertainment world. Colleen tried to defend it by saying they were basically like family and that JoJo was like a sister to her, even though she already has a real sister. That explanation didn't exactly land well with the audience. Overall, viewers felt like the entire interview was a major attempt to reframe the whole situation and soften the way everything went down. It came across like they wanted to make it seem less serious for Colleen by leaning heavily on the idea that none of it was intentional. But intentional or not, the way she described things still sounded rough. Even when Raven and Miranda tried to bring up what people online have been saying about her, The vibe stayed uncomfortable. The way the questions were asked and the way Colleen responded just made everything sound even more concerning, and listeners were picking up on every little detail. She even admitted that everything sounded bad. But honestly, if it was really that messy, it should have been a reason for them to turn down the interview in the first place. The whole thing felt planned out, like a strategic move from her team, especially since she mentioned in her blog that she had been wanting to speak out for a while. It's easy to imagine her team reaching out to a few podcasts she felt comfortable with, asking who would host her for this big conversation. For whatever reason, Raven and Miranda agreed to do it, even though nobody can figure out why they thought this was the right moment. But they went through with it anyway. Then this week, Trisha Paytas jumped into the mix and things got even more intense. She and Moses sat down on her channel to break down the entire interview, and they were not pulling punches. Moses pointed out that it felt like Miranda and Raven were brought in to soften Colleen's image, instead of actually questioning her in a real way. He said it seemed like they were trying to make her look more sympathetic rather than holding her accountable. They also called out how Colleen never directly apologized, unless someone basically told her to, which made the whole thing feel off. Trisha and Moses described her answers as super vague, almost like she was talking on the surface just to seem remorseful, without fully stepping up and owning anything. The way they talked about it added a whole new layer to the conversation. They also went into the whole underwear situation, which Colleen tried to explain by saying she thought it was inappropriate from the start, but claimed a fan kept begging her to send it. She tried to make it sound like she was just trying to be supportive toward her audience, and that the situation wasn't what people think it was. That explanation had everyone looking sideways. Trisha brought up how Colleen previously tried shifting the blame onto Adam, even though she was the adult in that moment and chose to offer the item herself. Trisha made it clear that trying to redirect responsibility like that wasn't fair at all. To jog everyone's memory, they even showed old clips from when the whole situation originally came out, reminding viewers exactly how it all went down. Trisha pointed out that Colleen needs to stop trying to fight against things that have already been proven with receipts and clear evidence. She said it makes everything look worse when the facts are right there and someone still tries to twist the story. Moses added that Colleen was acting like she wanted to soften the whole situation by saying she's a people pleaser and just wants to make her fans happy. He felt like she was using that as a way to make the situation sound lighter than it really was, instead of just being direct and fully accountable. Trisha just couldn't believe that Colleen still refused to give a real apology, and she called out how the podcast couldn't even keep its original title because it didn't match what actually happened. Trisha pointed out that if Colleen had truly apologized, they wouldn't have needed to switch anything, and that alone said a lot. This whole interview was supposed to be Colleen's big attempt at a comeback, but the way it played out was not hitting the way her team probably hoped. Trisha and Moses broke down every part of the conversation she had with Raven and Miranda, and they made it clear that it didn't bring the clarity people expected. A lot of people are still shocked she decided to do this interview at all, especially with how much criticism she's already been facing. The reaction online has been intense, and the whole situation keeps getting more chaotic. Here's the rewritten chunk. No outros, no comment prompts, just the story delivered with the tone you asked for.
I am 6 minutes into Adam McIntyre's video right now about Colleen, posted today, November 12th, reacting to the fact that Colleen is going to be on Raven-Symoné's podcast tomorrow. No. I grew up watching YouTube, watching Colleen. I was a fan. I loved me some Miranda Sings. I had my Miranda Sings era, impression on point, annoying as fuck. Like, trust, I know. I don't care. What she did to Adam McIntyre and Becky and Oliver and, like, or what happened with all of the victims that came forward talking about Colleen Ballinger. I stand with y'all. How the fuck could you, Raven-Symoné, how could you do this? What possessed you to think that this was a good idea? To have Colleen Ballinger, the person who is, like, accused of, like, literally being so unbelievably inappropriate with her fans and refuses to this day, and given the teaser trailer for the episode is still continuing to, like, double down on the fact that these things about her aren't true, even though there is literally so much proof. So much proof. There has been so many deep dives. I'm so sorry, but if you watch Adam and don't, like, if you watch Adam and you can't see, like, how genuinely, like, this hurts him, this is all true. I know it's all true. And I watched his video back in 2020, the first video about Colleen. And me and him are the same age. I didn't, like, believe him, or I didn't take what he said seriously, because I watched Colleen's apology, whatever the fuck video, and I fell for that shit just as much as everybody else. I was a little bit less, like, in her fandom at that point. Like, I had kind of aged out of it, but I was more so keeping up with, like, her rather than, like, the Miranda Sings of it all. But I was watching her here and there still, and I remember when this happened, and I was like, oh, that seems like a weird situation. Like, who is this kid, like, saying all these things? Then a couple years went by. I was still loosely watching her. I had started watching Adam completely separately, I think because of frenemies, and I loved him and I became a huge fan. And then I was like, he seems so familiar, I don't know. And then I realized, oh my god, he is the kid that made the video about Colleen. I went back, rewatched the whole situation, and I was like, oh my god, like, okay, wait, this is, like, really fucking weird. And then all that shit broke out, and I was like, oh my god. And then more and more came out. Obviously, we're at the point where we are today, and now it has been how many years? The toxic gossip train. I'm so sorry. How is she ever, how is she being platformed by anybody, let alone Raven? What are you doing, girl? What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is, and then giving her the opportunity to come on here and say, you know, like, playing sad music behind the trailer about, oh, it's so sad, it's, oh, you know, woe is me, and all these things weren't true, and, you know, my fans deserve an explanation. I wasn't giving, like, no fucking way you're doing this. I don't know. I think the thing that bothers me the most about Colleen is that I so easily would have been one of those fans that she was inappropriate with, because I was so obsessed with her that, like, I would have killed to be in the situation that these kids were in. And that's the point. Like, that was the whole point. And, like, I just get so sad for Adam, because seeing how he just said in his video, he's like, as I get older, I feel more and more protective of my younger self. And that is so true, because I feel that way about my younger self in situations, just life in general. But, like, having gone through something like this, I can't even imagine how he feels looking back to now have years later, her still doubling down and trying to discredit him and everything that he's ever said. It is so frustrating. It is so fucking frustrating. And no, I'm so sorry. Like, if you don't care about this, scroll, skip. I don't care. This isn't for you. This isn't for you. This is for the people who know what I'm talking about. Adam, fucking love you. We're the same age, so I feel like we would be like friends. I just feel terrible because he tries to make a point to not talk about her and, like, just move on with his life while people continue to say that all he does is talk about her. And then now he's talking about her, and then I'm sure her fans are gonna be like, oh my god, Adam can't shut up about Colleen. It's warranted, because she's going on a podcast to once again discredit him. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I should save this until I watch the video. Maybe you'll hear more thoughts from me once I have. I can't do it. I'm going to watch it, and that's the annoying thing. I'm going to wait and see if he reacts to it, to watch it, because I would prefer not to give it the view, but, like, I'm gonna have to hear what she has to say. And then I'm gonna just get angry. Like, it's gonna piss me off. Like, I don't know. There's very few things. Like, I grew up on YouTube. I am very parasocial with people to a limit. I've never been creepy. Like, trust, I was part of the Dan and Phil fandom, but I was normal and I kept removed. But, like, I just am getting so angry about this. I'm getting so unbelievably angry about this. I'm gonna go finish watching Adam's video. Y'all should go watch it too. And I guess that's really all I have to say. I'm just like, I am at a loss for words.